Lady Cornelia is a woman of wealth and privilege. By day, she navigates the twisting social circles of 18th century England. However, by night, she takes to the moors and highways, disguised as the mysterious thief, Shadowhand. With a dancing blade and a flashing smile, she will uncover corruption and wrongdoing in the English countryside so that she can take back what has been wrongfully stolen from her. Shadowhand is a puzzle card game that combines equal parts solitaire and RPG combat with a visual novel's presentation. Now, the basic gameplay is solitaire. You are trying to collect cards from the top of the screen in sequential order and then stack them in a pile at the bottom. The cards are arranged on screen in various rows and columns, and you need to remove all the cards on top before you can get to the cards on bottom. Whenever you run out of moves, you can draw a new card from your deck to try and start up another sequence, but you only have so many cards in that deck, so once that's empty, it's the end of the level. From there, Shadowhand adds 2 levels of challenge to the basic game of solitaire that you'll be playing. The first level is the inclusion of puzzle elements, that in addition to collecting cards and building combos, you'll also face level-specific challenges. Most of the time, these are simple obstacles, such as certain cards that can only be removed by collecting a specific suit. Other times, these cards may have additional effects, such as bombs, which will remove cards that are nearby. However, where things get really interesting is in Shadowhand's second level of challenge, for you see, the game has included a combat system of all things. Essentially, before combat, you will equip yourself with various weapons, and then, during a battle, you will use the solitaire mechanics to collect cards which will charge your weapons and ready them for attack. Once your weapon is fully charged, you can attack and deal damage. However, as soon as you have attacked, or passed your turn, your opponent gets the same opportunity. Eventually, after defeating an opponent or completing a level, you will be given rewards, typically a mixture of money and items. And this is where the game's strategy and RPG elements come into play. You can equip items such as potions or knives to your character and then use them during combat. You can also use the money you've collected to buy new weapons or gear that changes your character's stats or gives you different offensive or defensive bonuses. You'll also be able to upgrade your stats and acquire skills that will help you overcome some of the game's more punishing RNG elements. Certain abilities will allow you to do things such as peek at cards that are face down, remove other cards from play, or even shuffle everything on the field in order to give yourself a better chance. As you complete the various levels of the game, you'll receive not only money and experience, but you'll also unlock cutscenes that reveal more of Cornelia's story as an aristocrat turned highwaywoman. At certain points in the story, you'll also meet new NPCs that will unlock new items and equipment for your purchase. Now, in the positive vein, Shadowhand has good presentation. The characters and environments and interface are all well drawn and put together nicely, and the music gives an appropriate sense of ambience. Gameplay-wise, the puzzle segments are fairly straightforward, classic solitaire with slight changes to the rules and requirements. But then, it's actually the combat sequences that turn out to be surprisingly involved. They have a frankly unexpected level of strategic depth to them. At first, it's fairly straightforward. collect cards in order to charge your weapons, but as you start to unlock new items and gear, it gets a bit more complex. Certain weapons, for instance, will recharge faster or become more powerful depending upon which cards are played. And in fact, from about the middle of the game onward, you'll actually have to start customizing your gear and armaments in order to counter your opponent's strategies in order to beat them with any efficiency. Now, unfortunately, in the negative vein, the combat in Shadowhand has its own problems as well. As I've just so recently mentioned, in the later half of the game especially, items and gear play a major role in your fighting effectiveness. And while the game does a pretty good job of giving you sufficient rewards to continue playing at your current level, if you want the best equipment in the game, you're going to have to go back and grind through previous levels in order to get the cash to pay for top-tier weapons and armor. Also, the game's RNG elements can be frustrating. In a normal game of solitaire, sometimes you're just not going to get the cards you need, and that can be upsetting. But in solitaire combat, sometimes there's no preventing your enemy from just tearing through the field and dealing you massive damage. Now, granted, you have some skills and abilities that can help offset these instances, but there's no getting past the aggravation you're going to feel when it happens on the first turn of a battle. Still, in the end, Shadowhand is a pleasant surprise, a puzzle solitaire game that actually manages to add a reasonably in-depth combat system into the mix as well. I would give it 3 out of 4 stars, and my recommendation. If you're looking for a card-based puzzle game or a card-based combat simulator and you don't mind certain battles being decided by a small measure of luck, then yeah, definitely check it out. Alright, well, thanks for listening. Till next time, my lords and ladies.